Hi, everybody. I am Carol Williams. Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. We are a boutique immigration law firm. We help people in the United States, in all 50 states. So we help people nationally as well as internationally. We also help folks that are looking to come into the United States. And you can find us on TikTok. You can find us in our private Facebook group. You can find us on our Facebook page. You can also find us on Instagram as well as YouTube. And we are streaming right now on TikTok, Facebook page, the private Facebook group, as well as YouTube. So I wanted to come on tonight and talk about documents. We had a really good discussion yesterday, but I really wanted to come on tonight and talk about documents, y'all. Immigration and Department of State oversees all the consulates. National Visa Center works in between myself as a lawyer and the consulate. I also do work with the Department of Labor because I handle employment-based immigration cases as well, and Department of Labor gets involved in those. So all of these government agencies have a hand in your immigration process. And I cannot tell you how important it is to have documents. I can come up with the best brief. I can write the most glowing things about you as your lawyer, as your representative. But the Immigration Service knows that I'm on your side. The Immigration Service, the Department of State, NVC, the consular officer, they know my job when you hire me is to advocate for you. So I'm going to advocate for you, right? I'm going to say things about you that I think will help get your application approved. I'm not going to lie for you, but certainly I'm going to advocate on your behalf. What is super helpful and what is required are documents. We have to give the Immigration Service and the consulate and NVC and Department of Labor, we have to give them documents. So I cannot stress enough, it is so important for everyone who is either sponsoring someone to become a green card holder, or they are applying for a non-immigrant visa, they're applying for a work visa. If you are at all going to interact with the Immigration Service, you have to have documents. One of the first things that happens once you have hired us is we send you a document list. And we ask for all types of documents that are relevant to your case, but we ask you for documents first. I cannot stress how important documents are. Documents are important in the employment-based cases. If I need to show that you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, you tell me you have a PhD, the Immigration Service is not just going to take my word for it. They're not going to take your word for it. They want to see the actual document. They want to see a copy of your degree. If you are educated outside of the United States, which happens a lot with my clients, I need a copy of that degree and your transcripts so that I can send it to my credential evaluation service so they can say, okay, you have the equivalent of a high school diploma, you have the equivalent of a U.S. bachelor's degree, you have the equivalent of a U.S. master's degree. I need to see your resume. Oftentimes I will need to get employment verification letters from your prior employers, indicating when you worked for them, what you did for them, that sort of thing. I need documents, y'all. I need documents. Documents help you. The stronger your documents, the easier it is for the officer to look at your case. If you are applying for a green card, when you go to the medical exam, it's helpful if you bring documentation showing that you've had the required vaccinations. Because if you have that documentation, guess what? You don't have to take those vaccinations over again. If you don't have that documentation, you're going to have to take that entire panel of vaccinations over again. If you are married, I need to see a marriage certificate. If you tell me that you've been divorced, I need to see a divorce decree. right? So documents are so incredibly important that I want you guys to understand that. And there are times, there are cases especially for my folks that are married, and their marriage is on the rocks and it is not going well, and that happens often, right? Um, do not leave your home and leave all your documents behind. You're going to need your passport. You're going to need at least a copy of your marriage certificate, right? You're going to need your prior divorce decree. So that box that we all have of our important documents, make sure that you either make a copy of it or you bring it with you when you're leaving, because I need documents. I have spent quite a bit of time today trying to figure out how to help a client get documents that they need. Um, Pivotal documents, crucial documents for their case. I am determined to unravel this case, but we need documents. So this is when I always say, help me help you. Help me help you have your documents. And when we ask for really specific documents, look for those very specific documents. I always tell my clients I don't ask for things for just kicks and giggles and just to make myself feel good. There's always a reason why I'm asking for very specific documents, is because those are documents that the Immigration Service likes to see. Those are the easy documents for them to see. Now, all cases aren't going to be easy. In fact, I do quite a few difficult cases. Like, I love doing the difficult cases. But the more difficult the case, the more documents I'm going to need. That's just the way it is. So I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention today. Like, we need documents. The Immigration Service needs documents. I need to be able to send them documents. And I'm going to give you a really good example of why. Right now, the Immigration Service, USCIS, has a policy in place. They are trying to get through their COVID backlog. One of the ways they're getting through their COVID backlog is for family-based green card cases that look clean, that look easy, that look good. And you know what that means? That all boils down to they have good documents. They have solid documents because they are approving based on the filing, based on the documents in front of them. So I can't stress to you enough how important it is for you to have documents. That is not to say that if you don't have documents, we can't try to help you. Certainly we can. I've spent the better part of a day trying to figure out how to help my client get documents. So we can certainly help you. But again, in the vein of help me help you, pull together your documents. When you get that document list, attack it like your life depends on it, right? And I tell my clients, you're probably not going to have everything on the document list, especially if it's for a marriage-based green card. You're probably not going to have everything on that list, and that's okay. But I want you to absolutely look for everything. I want you to look for everything on my document lists, because the more documents we have, the better. So that has been what I've been working on today, y'all. Lots and lots of not having documents and trying to help folks figure out ways to get them. So you know the drill. You can absolutely ask me questions in the comments. What I can tell you up front is I do not know individual processing times off the top of my head. If you ask me for processing times, what I'm going to tell you, so I'm going to tell you now, and I'm sure someone will ask later, and I will say this later. I look up processing times for my clients every single time they ask me. I do not give them the processing times if I remember it from a week ago. Processing times are fluid and they change. So when giving processing times, I want to make sure that I'm giving some really good up-to-date processing times, okay? So just keep that in mind, if you would. I do not know processing times off the top of my head. Let's see what we have. TikTok always comes through with the questions. Y'all are fun. Let me see here. My Facebook group folks are more reserved. And if you'd like to be a member of the Facebook group, you can, there is a link in my bio. Y'all are certainly welcome to join. I'm going to start doing some more private group lives only. Let's see here. I think I missed something. Y'all, I'm scrolling. I feel like there was a 601 question earlier. Let's see here. All right, I can't find it, but TikTok is super fast with the scrolls. Let me see. All right, if you ask me, I thought I saw a question about 601 waivers. Feel free to re-ask. Here we go. How long is a 601 wait? Chris, I have no idea. I have no idea how long that wait is. One, I don't, my practice doesn't really do a ton of 601s. That is not sort of really like in the middle of my wheelhouse. So again, I would have to look up that processing time for you. So I don't know off the top of my head what that wait time is. Let's see here. Yeah, I had to scroll all the way back up to the beginning. Let me see here. Oh, still scrolling. Sandra, I'm feeling better each day. I sound much worse than I actually feel, so I do appreciate you asking. I'm not 100%, but I'm getting there. This is why I don't like being sick. I feel like I'm sick forever. I've been sick, honestly, y'all, most of August and now rolling into September. It would be super helpful, though, for real, if I put my glasses on. Oh, much better. There we go. Hey, Bree, good to see you again. Let's see here. Okay. Question. Do you need a year's worth of stuff for them to believe you are not lying? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I think what you're asking is, do you need, if you are sponsoring a spouse or a fiance, do you need a year's worth of documents? So if that is not the question you're asking, clarify your question for me, but that's the question I'm about to answer. So the more documents you have, the better. Absolutely. I will always say that to you. The more documents you have, the better. If you all have been together for 6 months, I would like to see 6 months worth of documents. If you've been married for, 3 days, but you were dating for 6 years, immigration is going to want to see something within those 6 years and not just the 3 days of marriage, right? So remember, immigration is all about telling your story. It's all about telling your individual story, whether or not it is an employment-based case or whether it's a family-based case. It is your story. So if it's an employment-based case, the story could be, here's where I went to school, here's where I've worked for the last 15, 10 years of my life or for the past 6 months. Here are the things I've been doing in my career. This employer wants to hire me. This is why I qualify for the role. If I'm speaking to the employer, it is, here's my company, here's how long we've been in business, here are our financials. We can afford to pay this individual the wage, right? Here's how the company in the US is related to the company overseas. Immigration's a story. If the story is a family-based story, right? If it's a family-based case, then the story could be, we met overseas, we were both on vacation, we were both studying abroad, we hung out for, 6 months, a year, a semester, whatever. We both went back to our own homes, our own countries, we fell in love. Whatever your story is, right? That's the story we're going to tell. So if y'all have been together for a year, yes, I would like to see a year's worth of stuff. Tell me what y'all have been doing for that year. Tell me your love story. Tell me how y'all got together. I want to know all the things. And then we will decide what of your story, what are the best pieces to tell the immigration service so that they understand that your story is real. And sometimes it's not the amazing stuff that makes for real life. Sometimes the boring text back and forth, hey babe, when you leave work today, can you go to the grocery store and pick up mustard, right? That's real life. That's real life. It's not all cutesy photos and we went to this art museum and when we went to this Broadway show. That's life too. But life is also, hey babe, I need you to go pick up some mustard for me tonight, right? Because we're having hamburgers, we're having hot dogs, whatever. Like and we ran out of mustard, right? Or hey babe, can you pick up formula on your way home? Hey, I need you to come home. One of the kids is sick. Hey, I need you to come home. I don't feel well. Some like real life stuff. So if y'all have been together for a year, then yeah, I want a year's worth of stuff. If y'all have been together for 8 years, I want 8 years worth of stuff, right? So yeah, so I hope that answered your question. If that was not your question, let me know that as well. Can you get divorced and remarried on a spouse green card application? I'm not 100% sure what you mean. You can always get divorced. You can always get remarried. The Immigration Service certainly isn't going to stop you from doing those two things. I'm not quite sure in the context of what you are asking, though. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question because I don't 100% understand the answer. Now, I will say this about getting divorced. If you have a conditional residency, and you'll know that because your green card is only valid for 2 years. It is only valid for 2 years because your conditional permanent residency was approved before y'all were married for 2 solid years. If after you get your conditional permanent residence, your marriage starts to fall apart, and it does happen. It's sad, but it does happen. The Immigration Service understands that not every marriage is going to last. The Immigration Service understands that some marriages just simply go south. So there is a provision where if you are a conditional permanent resident, you do not have to stay married. You can absolutely get divorced if your marriage is going south. We can then request essentially a waiver of your spouse, at that point would be your ex-spouse, filing the removal of condition application with you. That is built into the process. It is built into the law. So don't feel like you have to stay married when it's not working. Now, the Immigration Service is going to want, again, documents to show that the reason you got married was more than to simply get a green card. They're going to want documents. They deal with sham marriages all day, every day in the local offices. So the better story that we can tell through documents as to why you got divorced, why you ended your marriage, and why you got married. And your intent when you got married was to be married to this person. That's what the Immigration Service wants to see, because they are going to automatically think, oh, you got divorced? Oh, yeah, you didn't really mean to get married. You just wanted a green card, right? So it's our job to tell your story through documents to show that immigration officer that you meant to be married, that you were not trying to scam the system, right? So again, it all hinges on your documents. It all hinges on your documents. Okay, this is a very, very specific question. So I'm going to tell you up front that you're going to have to schedule a consultation. So we've got, the question is, asylee and married to a USC, came in with a J1 visa with a 2-year home rule. Can I apply for marriage green card? That is a very super specific question. You're welcome to schedule a consultation around that, and we can dig into that more. But out of your question, what I am going to talk about for a minute is the J1 visa. It's a training visa for folks that may not be aware of it. And there's several different sort of subcategories within that J1. The J1 is really meant to be an exchange of knowledge. It's meant for an individual to come into the United States, gain knowledge, learn some new things, and then take that knowledge with them back to their home country and apply it and use it in their home country. That is the purpose of a J1. So when you get a J1, sometimes you will be subject to what's called a 2-year foreign residency requirement. And that means when your J1 program is over that you need to go home. There are certain instances where you can get a waiver of the requirement to go home. If that waiver is not obtained, you cannot get a green card approved, and there are very limited circumstances where you can change your status to a different status. I see this come up often when individuals want to change from a J1 to an H1B. You must have that 2-year foreign residency requirement waived. I also see it when folks are here on J1 and they want to ultimately apply for a green card. You must have your 2-year foreign residency requirement waived. So that is what I will say about J's. I came on an F1 and athlete after my master's degree. Do I have an option to stay or apply for a green card? I have no idea. I have no idea because I would need to know a lot more about your situation. Yeah, so I would say for that, you are going to have to schedule a consultation. You can do that through the link in my bio. These lives, y'all, are really to educate you and give you some very general information. It is not to answer super, super specific questions on your own case. I don't give any case specific or legal advice via DMs or on lives. So everything that we're talking about is super, super general. Let's see here. What is a 601? A 601 is an application that is filed with immigration when someone has overstayed their time in the US and they do not have an avenue to waive that time, to waive that overstay in the US. That is a 601. And that's an application that we file. Do you help with spouse petitions with someone with DACA? Can a diagnosis of autism in children help? Spouse petitions. So yes, I definitely work with folks that are petitioning for their spouse. I'm not quite sure how the diagnosis of autism kind of fits into your question. So that again, that sounds super, super specific to your individual situation. So I would say feel free to click the link in my bio, schedule a consult, and we can talk about that a lot more in depth. And oh, y'all, it just skipped all the way to the end. So some of these I might miss. Let me see here. When filing premium processing to change B2 to F1, should I file both the 537 and the 907? The 907 form is the premium processing form. So if you are applying for any benefit that you are eligible to apply for using premium processing, you must file that 907 form along with the premium processing fees. Premium processing fees differ depending on what kind of application you are filing. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And you can find the fees for premium processing on the USCIS website, y'all. I-130 at Texas Center showing review. Show review has been 1 year. Anything you can do for it? It depends. It totally depends. I don't know what you filed. I don't have a copy of it. I don't know why it's been pending for a year. I don't know what the processing times are for Texas, and I don't know what preference category it was filed under. So different preference categories in both employment and family-based categories have different processing times at different service centers. So I do not know what the processing times are in, every single local office and every single service center for every single petition type, even the ones that I do all day, every day. So I would have to look at the processing times. So the short answer is I don't know. It could be that a year is right on track. It could be that a year is super, super long for that case type. I don't know. Let me see here. H-1B transfer got RFE'd. Can you talk about the situation? I sure can. So H-1Bs, I like to think, so H-1Bs are what I call the workhorse of the employment-based applications. They are for individuals where the job requires a bachelor's degree and the individual has at least a bachelor's degree in the related field. That is very broad brushstroke of an H-1B. There are only so many allowed every fiscal year. That number is 85,000. 20,000 of those are set aside specifically for individuals who receive a master's degree or higher from a U.S. university. If you got an RFE, I think of the RFE as a gift. I know that you do not think of it as a gift. I know that many don't think of it as a gift. I, however, do. What they could have done was simply sent you a denial notice, right? So the RFE for me, the way I look at it, is a gift, and it is a second shot at providing them with the information that they want. Usually the RFE is very targeted to what they are asking for. They are generally pretty clear with well, I shouldn't say they're pretty clear. I guess I've just been doing this for over 20 years. So for me, I can sort of read between the lines and see what they want. But yeah, I mean, you definitely are going to need to respond to that RFE if you indeed want to be in H-1B status. And you should be working closely with the lawyer and the company to get that response into the Immigration Service. And be very mindful of what they are asking for. But absolutely, you can definitely get an approval after an RFE. I do that in my firm often. Immigration Service will absolutely come back and ask more questions. We respond to those questions. And again, how I started, and you may not have been on when I started, the key to any immigration application are your documents. If you get and I'm glad you asked this question, because an RFE is riddled with, we need documents. I mean, they, in a very nice way, say, what you sent us is not good enough. We want more documents. Here are the documents we want. Here's what we need them to say. Here's what we need them to explain. So think about what's in the RFE, think about the documents that they are requesting, the information that they're requesting, and the documents that you can provide that will help satisfy their request. And if you are currently not working with an attorney and you need someone to help you with that RFE, feel free to click the link in my bio, and you and your employer can schedule a consultation. What documents make the best evidence? Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good question. So it depends on the type of application that you are filing. It absolutely depends. So I will give you an example. If the Immigration Service, if one of the requirements of the application is that two people be married, right? That could be one of the requirements. A marriage certificate is the absolute best evidence. Right? It is a marriage certificate that is signed by whoever, whatever government official. It's got some stamps, some official stamps on it, whatever. It doesn't look like a child has done it. It looks like a valid legal marriage certificate. Boom, great. If for some reason, let's say you have been married, I don't know, for like 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 years, whatever. And for some reason you lose that marriage certificate and you can't get another one, right? The Department of State will actually tell us what is the next best evidence that they would like to see. They provide us with that information. And so it's basically going down that list. What you may not think is, or you may not think about, because this would never really occur to most people, that one of the things the Immigration Service will accept is photocopies of a family Bible that list out births, marriages, deaths, divorces, that sort of thing. The reason behind that, which they will accept that, is because they kind of feel like most people are not going to write lies in the family Bible, y'all, right? Right? Like most people are not going to write lies in the family Bible. Like that just kind of goes against like everything, right? But that is not the best evidence. The best evidence would be a marriage certificate. So it really, the quote unquote best evidence really depends on what you are trying to show the immigration service. If you're trying to show them that you're married, they would love to see joint bank accounts that are, that are being used for daily living. They would love to see photos. They would love to see life insurance policies on one another. They love when you have a child together, that sort of thing, right? But what happens when you don't have a child together? Maybe you don't want children. Maybe someone in that relationship can't have children. Maybe you haven't gotten your life insurance yet. So neither of you have a life insurance policy and, that sort of thing. And so you don't have it. So sometimes the best evidence, we just have to get a little creative and think outside the box about it. But again, it is about giving them documents and telling them telling your story through those documents. And that story, frankly, is us saying, yeah, we know that you guys really, really love joint bank statements. And that's like a gold standard for y'all. But I'm going to tell you why we don't really have joint bank accounts. I have worked with clients that don't have joint bank accounts. In some cases, there are cultural reasons why there wasn't a joint bank account. There were cultural reasons why there wasn't a whole lot of money flowing through these bank accounts, right? So we got creative. And I just asked my client, why don't y'all have a joint bank account? Why is there, not only do you not have a joint bank account, there's not a lot of money flowing through your bank accounts, but I see your W-2, so I see that you have a job. I see that you're getting paid. What's happening here? So a lot of it is sitting down, figuring out what's happening. And then my job is to tell you what evidence I think would be good for us to use. And then your job is to say, okay, I don't know that that's the best evidence, or I don't have that, I have this, and will this work, right? So it's a conversation between us as we pull the application together. So documents of best evidence, definitely going to be other government documents, other organizational documents, other organizations that have no skin in your immigration game, right? They are completely third party. They don't, nothing happens to them if your application is approved or denied, right? They have no reason to lie, that kind of thing. So best documents really depends on your particular situation. This is starting to sound really specific, but let me go for it. I'm 26 and my mom is a US citizen. So how much time will it take for my mom to apply for my immigration? I don't know. That will certainly depend on whether or not you are married or not. So it depends on what preference category you're in. And I do not know the processing times off the top of my head. I just don't. So I always start off in the beginning and say that I don't know what the processing times are, but people hop on when they hop on, so that's cool. But I really don't know what the processing times are. I can tell you, you are further down you're further down in the preference category. So it is going to take longer. Flat out, it's going to take longer. Immigration has a tremendous backlog they are working through right now. So if you want to kind of dig into that a little bit more, you're welcome to schedule a consultation with me. You can use a link in my bio, and we're happy to chat with you about that. How do I transfer I-130 receipt date to an I-360 VAWA? So I don't do any VAWA in my practice. That is a question better presented to immigration attorneys that handle VAWA. I don't do any VAWA in my practice. So I don't know. I have no idea how to do that. Let's see here. Best words to use for a VAWA expedite request? No idea, but that is a super specific question. I don't know that there are best words to use for any expedite request. There are expedite criteria that are released by the Immigration Service, so you want to make sure that you fit those criteria. But in terms of best words for any expedite request, there really aren't any. It is about telling them what your story is, telling them why you meet the expedite request criteria, and giving them documents. Again, my whole theme for tonight, y'all, is documents. Giving them documents that support your request for an expedite. What is the best country to immigrate to an American to minimize American entanglements? I do not understand your question. I'm sorry. I don't understand your question. Let me see here. So those are the last questions I have there. On TikTok, let me look at the other platforms, y'all. Then if there are let me see here. All right. Give me a minute while I look and see if there's other questions. A little bit of scrolling. Okay. I think there's a question. And no questions over here. All right, you guys. Let me see here. We had a couple new messages over here. Let's see here. What is the best way to expedite an I-130 based on decline of mental health? That is a really would USCIS be more lenient for an expedite request if the applicant is a teenager? I would recommend that you schedule a consultation. An expedite request needs to be the basic expedite requirements, and the Immigration Service, because of the backlog, has gotten, I would say, more expedite requests than they have probably ever seen, right? Between, the COVID pandemic, there were a lot of expedite requests. I don't frankly know that they have slowed down right now. So if you want to send in an expedite request, it is all about the documents and all about the reasons why. And do you qualify to meet their expedite criteria? So if that is something that you want to do in terms of an expedite, you are welcome to schedule consultation. I'm happy to chat with you about it further. But USCIS is not going to expedite, frankly, a lot of things. They're just not. The reasoning has to be very, very good in order to take a case out of lot and jump it to the very front. Most applications that go into the Immigration Service are done on a first in, first out basis. So, sometimes for very sad reasons, expedites are denied. So I would say schedule some, go into the link in my bio, schedule a consultation, and we can certainly talk about your individual situation. What happens if the spouse doesn't make enough money? If it's for, I'm assuming this is for a green card application. If the spouse doesn't make enough money and this is a green card application, then there will need to be a joint sponsor in the mix. So you'll need to get a sponsor who is willing to take on that financial responsibility with the U.S. government. So yeah, so you just need a joint sponsor. How long the process to get a work permit? Um, I don't know. Um, I don't know processing times off the top of my head. Depends on what kind of work permit, excuse me, or the type of application that you file that allows you to get a work permit. They have different processing times. So I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. But if that's something that you want to talk about in conjunction with the green card application and the affidavit of support, I'm happy to do that. You are welcome to go to the link in the bio and schedule a consultation. Um, so this has been fun. This has been nice. I'm going to log off because I don't have any more questions from you. Oh, one more question. All right, one more question about referral, and then I am logging off to go have some dinner. Okay. Can one extend their stay in the country with an expired passport accompanied by proof of a pending passport? Whether or not someone's passport, whether they're foreign passport, whether they're not U.S. passport, has expired, doesn't really impact your immigration status when you're in the United States. What impacts your immigration status when you're in the United States is the date listed in your I-94 card. That is the date that was put in the system that tells you when you need to leave the U.S. Passports expire all the time. People go to their consulate, their home country consulate here in the United States, and they renew their passport. That happens all day, every day. But the date when you have to leave the U.S., you want to be very clear. You want to pull down your I-94 card online. If you go online, you just Google I-94 card, the website will pop up. You put in some of your own information, and you can pull your own I-94 card down. That is the document that we look at when we are determining when someone's stay expired. If you are here and your I-94 card has expired, but you timely filed another application prior prior to the expiration of your I-94 card, that filing may have extended your stay. It depends on what you filed and such a thing. But in general, you want to be looking at your I-94 card for the length of time that you're allowed to stay in the United States, not the validity of your passport. So I hope that was helpful. And I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna log off. I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, a boutique immigration law firm where we help employers, employees, and family members navigate the U.S. immigration system. You're welcome to visit the website, which is clwimmigration.com. That link is also in the bio. All online presence is all in the bio, that link. And you can find us on YouTube, where we have some more educational videos for you. You can find us in our private Facebook group if you're not a member of that. You are certainly welcome to pop over there and ask to join. And we're there, and you're also welcome to check us out on our Facebook page and as well on TikTok and also on Instagram. So with that said, I will be live again, I think tomorrow. I have a late meeting tomorrow, so I don't know. I'll have to see about tomorrow. But this has been fun, guys. This is always fun. So, but I will try and carve out some time tomorrow, maybe earlier in the evening, maybe around like 5-ish, for a quickie half hour before my meeting. And I will see you all tomorrow. If you come in here tomorrow, if this is helpful, let friends know. We are happy to help. All right, y'all. I'm logging off, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Have a good night.